Imagine being one of the most powerful women in the world. You're Empress of China, second only to the Empress Dowager. You command thousands of servants, live in unimaginable luxury, and your word is law over the imperial harem. Now imagine that in a single day, between breakfast and dinner, you lose everything. Your titles are stripped, your servants are taken, and after your death, the Emperor orders your complete erasure from history. No tomb, no memorial, and no name. It's as if you never existed. This isn't fiction, this is the true story of the Empress Nara of the Qing Dynasty, the woman who cut her hair and became a ghost. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I cover deep dives into history and the lives of the past, and today we're tackling one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in Chinese imperial history. I'm talking about Empress Nara, also known as the Steppe Empress, who ruled alongside the Qianlong Emperor during China's last great dynasty. Her story has everything: palace intrigue, forbidden love, betrayal, and a mystery that historians still can't solve over 250 years later. So hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive into the life of the empress they tried to erase from history. Before we even get to her story, we run into our first mystery. What exactly was her name? See, the historical records can't even agree on her clan name. Some documents call her Ulanara, while some say Hoifanara. And here's the thing, this isn't just a small detail. In Manchu society, your clan name defines your status, your connections, and your entire identity. Modern scholars today think that these names might just indicate where her family lived. Ola or Huifa were geographical regions, and Nara was the actual surname. But the confusion tells us something important. Even the basic facts about her life were obscured, and possibly deliberately. What we do know is that she was born on March 11th in 1718 to a man named Narbu, a military commander in the bordered blue banner. She came from lower nobility, respectable but not elite. Our story really begins in 1734. Lady Nara was just 16 years old when she entered the household of Prince Hongli, the fourth son of the Yongjung Emperor, as a secondary consort. And here's where she proved that she was different. She gained Hongli's favor, and in a world where dozens of women competed for the prince's attention, Lady Nara somehow managed to stand out. Then, just 9 months later, everything changed. Prince Hongli's father died, and suddenly her husband became the Qianlong Emperor, one of the most powerful rulers in Chinese history. And Lady Nara? She was about to begin a 16-year climb to the very top. In January 1738, just 3 years after Qianlong took the throne, she's promoted to Consort Xianfei, a fourth-ranking consort. Then in December, in 1745, 7 years later, she's promoted again to noble consort Xianguifei, the third rank. At this stage, she's climbing steadily. But then something major happens. In 1748, Empress Fucha, Qianlong's first wife and greatest love, dies. And the emperor was devastated. If you want to learn more about Empress Fucha, you should check out my other video on her linked above. Now here's what's interesting. Qianlong doesn't immediately name a new empress. Instead, in May 1749, he elevates Lady Nara to Imperial Noble Consort, Xianhuangguifei, just one rank below the empress, and gives her administrative power over the entire imperial harem. She's essentially acting as the empress, but without the title. So you might be asking, why the delay? And that was out of respect. Qianlong felt that it would dishonor his late wife's memory to appoint a new empress during the mandatory 3-year mourning period. But behind the scenes, his mother, the powerful Empress Dowager Chongqing, was pushing for Lady Nara. She thought Lady Nara was capable, dignified, and the right choice for Empress. And finally, on September 2nd, 1750, Lady Nara officially became Empress of China. From secondary consort to Empress in 16 years. By all accounts, she had won. For the next 15 years, Empress Nara appeared to have it all. She accompanied Qianlong on multiple imperial tours across China, traveling to the south, visiting the tombs of former emperors, participating in ancestral worship ceremonies, and joining hunting expeditions. She also gave birth to 3 children. In June 1752, her first son, Yongji, was born. The emperor's 12th son overall. He would later be granted the title of Bela. Then, in July of 1753, she had a daughter, the emperor's 5th daughter. But tragically, this little girl would die just before her 2nd birthday. And then again, in January 1756, she gave birth to another son, Yongjing, the 13th prince. But heartbreak would strike again, and Yongjing died at just 19 months old. 2 of her 3 children dead before they could even talk. Despite this, everything on the surface seemed fine. Food distribution records show that the Empress was regularly receiving gifts from the Emperor. For 15 years, this was her life: stability, power, and respect. And then came April 7th, 1765. During the 30th year of Qianlong's reign, Empress Nara joined the Emperor on his 4th southern tour of China. The tour started normally. The Emperor even celebrated the Empress's birthday during the journey. They arrived in Hangzhou, a beautiful city known for its lakes and gardens. And this is where our story takes a dark turn. A Chinese author named Li Shu did something brilliant in 2019. She analyzed the imperial food distribution records, and she found the exact moment that everything fell apart. For breakfast on the 7th of April, 1765, Empress Nara received the portion of assorted meats from the Emperor. But by dinner on that same day, the Empress's name was completely absent from the food records. From that dinner onward, her name was covered with yellow paper on every single food distribution document. Something catastrophic happened between breakfast and dinner on April 7th, and we now know what that was. The Empress had cut her hair. Now, if you're watching this thinking, wait, that's it? She cut her hair? You need to understand what this meant in Manchu culture. For Manchu people in the Qing Dynasty, cutting your hair was permitted in only one circumstance, as a sign of deep mourning when the Emperor or Empress Dowager died. And that's it. Hair represented your connection to your ancestors and your loyalty to the throne. And both Emperor Qianlong and his mother were alive and healthy. So when the Empress cut her hair, it was interpreted as a death curse. And the reaction was immediate and brutal. The Empress was ordered to return to Beijing immediately, not with the imperial entourage, but separately and in disgrace. Fu Longan, the nephew of the late First Empress Fucha and one of the Emperor's most trusted officials, escorted her back via waterways. She stayed on a boat, separated from the court, knowing her life as she knew it was over. But here's the thing that's haunted historians for over 250 years. Why exactly did she do it? We have to talk about this because the why is arguably more fascinating than the what. Several theories emerged both at the time and in modern day. Theory 1 states that she was protesting against concubine hunting. A Qing-era official named Yan Zheng recorded that a popular rumor at the time suggested the empress was protesting. She believed Qianlong was using these southern tours as an excuse to scout for beautiful women to add to his harem. Theory number 2 was self-sacrifice. The haircutting was actually an act of devotion, where she wanted Qianlong to focus on his health as he got older, rather than chasing romantic interests. Theory 3 takes us to religious calling. According to records left by the Empress's own nephew, she wanted to become a Buddhist nun. And lastly, we have Theory 4, the consort Ling factor. Here's where palace politics gets interesting. At this time, a woman from the Wei clan, known as Consort Ling, was rapidly rising in favor. She would eventually become the mother of the next emperor, and some historians think that the empress felt threatened and acted out of desperation. So, which theory is right? We don't know, and we might never know. When Empress Nara returned to the Forbidden City, she was still technically the Empress. Her title hadn't been stripped, but that's where the good news ends for her. At first, the treatment was almost civil. She still received the same food and charcoal rations as an empress. She had 5 eunuchs and 2 cooks assigned to her, but she was isolated and confined to her quarters, never appearing in public again. And then when Qianlong returned to Beijing, on the 1st of July, 1765, he ordered the confiscation of her 4 written edicts that had granted her promotions over the years, essentially erasing the paperwork of her ascent. All the accompanying gifts were taken back, and her imperial seal, the physical symbol of her authority, was seized. Her maid workforce was reduced from 10 to just 2. That's the number of maids assigned to a daying, a second-class attendant, the lowest rank of imperial consort. And then, to make matters worse, half a month after his return, Qianlong elevated Consort Ling to Ling Huangguifei, imperial noble consort, just 1 step below the empress. It was highly unorthodox to name an imperial noble consort when the empress was still around. And for over a year, Empress Nara lived in this limbo, stripped of everything but her title, isolated and forgotten, with 2 servants, no visitors, no ceremonies, and no life. The woman who had once traveled across China at the emperor's side now sat alone in a room, waiting to die. By July 1766, Empress Nara was seriously ill, and the records tell us that she was dying. And what did the emperor do? He left for his summer residence in Chengde as planned. The empress went on to die in mid-August 1766. Historical sources disagree on the exact date. Some say it was August 19th, while others say it was August 31st. But what's not disputed is how the emperor reacted. When the news reached Qianlong, he was at the Mulan hunting grounds on his annual hunting expedition. And unsurprisingly, he didn't come home. Instead, he sent their son, Yongji, the empress's own 14-year-old boy, back to the palace to handle his mother's funeral arrangements. The funeral itself was a masterclass in humiliation disguised as protocol. Officially, Qianlong ordered that the step-empress's funeral be conducted as that of an imperial noble consort. As a reminder, that is 1 rank below the empress. On paper, that sounds almost respectful, but the reality? It was far worse. Here's what should have happened for an imperial noble consort's funeral: a 5-day cancellation of cabinet meetings, mandatory attendance by princesses, nobles, and all high-ranking court officials, proper mourning period declared at court, a high-quality coffin befitting her rank, official records of her death, and a posthumous name to honor her memory. But here's what actually happened. Cabinet meetings continued as normal. No attendance requirements were made. No official mourning period was declared. She got a low-quality, cheap coffin that has collapsed as time went on. Her death wasn't recorded in official court documents, and she never, ever received a posthumous name. That last part is huge. She was the only Qing empress to never receive a courtesy title after her death. It was as if the empire collectively agreed that this woman should not be remembered. But the burial is where it gets truly heartbreaking. The standard practice for an empress was to be buried in their own mausoleum or alongside the emperor in his designated resting place. That meant elaborate tomb complex, an individual gravestone, and memorial tablets. Empress Nara was buried in the Yu Mausoleum, in the concubines' burial grounds of the Eastern Qing tombs. She was laid to rest next to imperial noble consort Chunhui, not in her own space, but crammed in like a servant beside a master. No individual mausoleum, no honor, and she would not be buried with the Qianlong Emperor. What Qianlong did to Empress Nara after her death goes beyond punishment. It was cruel, and it was nearly unprecedented in Chinese history. Historians widely believe that Qianlong ordered the destruction of all of her official records and portraits, and that's why we know so little about her personality, her appearance, and her daily life. After Empress Nara's death, Qianlong never appointed another empress during his lifetime. Think about that for a second. He had dozens of consorts, he lived another 33 years, but he never gave the empress title to anyone else. It created a historical void that's lasted centuries. The systematic erasure meant that later historians had almost nothing to work with. Entire aspects of Qianlong's reign were obscured because the empress, a major figure for 15 years, had been written out of existence. The Qing Dynasty would continue for another 150 years after her death, but the ghost of Empress Nara remained in the walls of the Forbidden City, a warning, a mystery, and a tragedy that no one was allowed to discuss. Only the final lingering question: why did she do it? These mysteries might never be solved. The Emperor made sure of that. But here's what gives me hope. We're talking about her, right now, here in 2026, over 250 years after her death. Scholars are researching her, filmmakers are telling her story, and she exists in our collective memory in a way that Qianlong never would have wanted. So, what do you think happened? Why do you think she cut her hair? Was it protest, religion, mental health? Drop your theories in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your take on this mystery. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button. It really does help the algorithm show this video to more history nerds like us. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the more you know.